Hello, I am here with a new video about the discussion on powerful technical analysis indicators and oscillators. In this video, we want to get acquainted with the first indicator, the moving average, from the series of powerful technical analysis indicators. Let's move to the next slide. Well, dear ones, the first point you should remember about moving averages is that we generally have three important categories of moving averages, which include simple moving average, weighted moving average, and exponential moving average. I'll give you a very simple example right here, quoting, and then we'll examine these moving averages together. We'll see various examples of the method, and later we'll work together on the software to see how moving averages can provide us with good signals for buying and selling stocks. Well, the simple moving average, as its name suggests, is a simple moving average. A moving average, or in other words, a simple moving average is essentially like calculating a simple average. For example, you can easily add several numbers together and then divide them by their count. And in this way, you obtain a very simple average or a very simple mean. But if each of your data points had a specific weight, let's give an example, like your academic transcript, where each of your grades is assigned a certain number of credit units, and this can actually be considered the weight of each of these courses you are taking. Here, if you want to calculate the average, you first need to account for this weight, and then calculate the overall average. What does that mean, kids? It means you need to multiply each of the values related to each parameter by its own weight, and then divide by the total sum of the weights. Now, in fact, we will work on more examples of moving averages, first on Excel, and then on the actual software. But the third category of moving averages is the exponential moving averages. Exponential moving averages, as the name suggests, are obtained from the product of the variables, and then from the square of the power of those variables. What does that mean? It means, suppose you have the two variables. The two variables must be multiplied together, and then you calculate the square root of that. If you have 10 variables, these 10 variables must be multiplied together, and then you calculate the 10th root of that. So the exponential moving average is actually obtained from multiplying and then taking the root of the variables. Now, in the field of technical analysis, the more we move from a simple moving average to an exponential moving average, the stronger our averaging becomes. And it's the same in the real world. When you want to use moving averages, or the moving average indicator on a stock's price chart, you should also try to use the exponential moving average more. Although weighted and simple moving averages also give you signals, the exponential moving average provides you with much, much stronger signals. So, in fact, if I want to implement moving averages on software, there is no need to use simple and weighted moving averages. I will only implement EMAs or exponential moving averages on the stock's price chart. Let's move on to the next slide. In this slide, I have brought to you, dear ones, some of the explanations I provided in the previous slide, which are that moving averages are the result of averaging prices, and they never move ahead of the price. The reason why a moving average or a moving average differs from a simple average and how it is calculated is that when you want to calculate the moving average of the nth day of a stock price chart, each time you calculate this moving average now, in the next video I will show you on Excel, each time one of the data points is added to your variable. One of the data points is subtracted from the beginning of your variable. And we say that we apply a lag to our data. For example, suppose I must have the price of a stock on the first and second days in order to calculate a moving average. When I want to calculate the moving average for the third day, I only compute the average of the second and third days. This means the average of the first day is removed from the data, creating a lag. For me, when I want to calculate the 17th day, I compare the average of the 16th and 17th days, and the previous data creates a lag, effectively removing our average. Now, this will be easier to explain and understand on Excel. If the moving average time period is short, the moving average is constantly in contact with the price. A very important point you need to know about moving averages is the time period of the moving averages. You see, the software by default provides you with a time period for the EMA. But you need to learn that this time period is not the same for all stocks, and you should use what we call the trial and error method to find the best time period for your moving average. And after that time period is determined, always use the same time period for the specific stock. And remember that the time period for different stocks in the moving average is different. Well, if you choose a very small time period for your calculation, your moving average chart will constantly intersect with your stock's price chart and will continuously give you false signals. Conversely, if you consider a very large time period, your moving average chart will intersect with your stock's price chart too late, and in other words, it won't give you the correct signal. So you need to consider a period that provides you with the signal at the right time, which we will practice together on the software. Here we also mentioned another very important point, which is that after we learn how the EMA works and how the moving average actually intersects with the stock's price chart and gives us signals, we learn about a phenomenon that we call the awakenings of moving averages. The phenomenon of awakening, amor, the entanglement or interweaving of moving averages, is when we simultaneously implement 4 moving averages, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 moving averages on the price chart of a stock, and where the moving average charts become entangled and actually interwoven and intertwined. This is where a powerful signal is supposed to be given to me, which we will also work on this, on the stock price chart in the software. Let's move to the next slide. Well, after I discuss some of the important topics regarding powerful technical analysis indicators with you, we will then move to the software and practice them one by one. Another powerful indicator that I actually want to introduce to you is the indicator created by the gentleman you see in the picture, Mr. John Bollinger. He holds CFA and CMT certifications and is officially a member of the CMT Association in the United States. He is the creator of Bollinger Bands, which we also refer to as Boll in the software. Mr. Bollinger actually invented these bands. If you look at the next slide, in general, Bollinger Bands or Bollinger strips have several important features. One of these features is that Bollinger Bands consist of 3 different parts: the upper Bollinger Band, the lower Bollinger Band, and the middle Bollinger Band. The middle Bollinger Band. It is itself a moving average, and usually this moving average is a simple moving average. The simple moving average has a period of 20 days, and the upper line, or in other words, then the upper Bollinger Band is usually 2 standard deviations away from your moving average, and the lower Bollinger Band is also 2 standard deviations below your moving average. Therefore, these bands can be You can call them on the stock's price chart, and the important point is that Mr. Bollinger believes then that his bands actually contain the stock's price chart for 95% of its lifespan within the Bollinger Bands. But how do you get signals from the Bollinger Bands? When the Bollinger Bands contain the stock's price chart for 95% of its lifespan, this means that 5% of the stock's price chart lifespan, which we call a noise that may occasionally occur, is outside the bands. However, 95% of the stock's price chart is within the Bollinger Bands. Dear friends, what does that mean? It means that if you remember, I explained the ascending and descending channels to you in previous videos and mentioned that when the stock's price chart hits the bottom of the ascending channel, it's a buy signal. And when it hits the top of the channel, it's a sell signal. Bollinger Bands exactly act like a channel, but a dynamic channel. A channel that is not two parallel and straight lines. A channel that is completely mobile and moves with the chart. The signal of this channel is such that when the price chart of the stock hits the bottom of the channel, the lower Bollinger Band, and moves upwards, crossing the middle band from below, we have a strong buy signal. And when the price chart of the stock rises and reaches the upper band, it doesn't go higher than the upper band. This means the upper Bollinger Band acts as a resistance and the lower band acts as a support. When it hits the upper band and then reverses and starts to fall, whenever the stock's price chart crosses the middle band from above to below, we have an exit signal. So the crossing of the stock's price chart from below to above at the middle band is a buy signal. The crossing of the stock's price chart from above to below with the middle band is a sell signal. And when the chart declines, it can go down to the lower band at most in 101A. And when it rises, it can go up to the upper band at most. Therefore, you are performing a very powerful analysis on the stock's price chart using Bollinger Bands. And you are understanding how far this chart can rise and how far it will decline. All right, let's move to the next slide. In this slide, I have actually explained all the details related to this slide in the previous one, and we mentioned that when the Bollinger Bands come close to each other, it signals an entry into the market and a neutral phase. Let me give an explanation about this point. When the stock's price chart starts trending, it means it is moving from a neutral state towards having a trend. It doesn't matter what kind of trend it is, a positive trend or a negative trend, an upward trend or a downward trend. When the stock's price chart starts trending, the Bollinger Bands open up. This means the opening of the Bollinger Bands is a signal and an alert for you, indicating that the chart is entering a trending or trend-based state. And when the stock's price chart exits the trending state, it means it moves into a neutral, less active area. The Bollinger Bands close. So the opening and closing of the Bollinger Bands can also be a warning and a signal for you. Below, I also explained the contact point to you. Well, dear friends, we have reviewed two of the most powerful technical analysis indicators together, and in the next video we will actually call up these two indicators on the software and we will see them together and be with you.